Hi everyone, and welcome to my trip on board Thai Airways on their 777 in economy class. Check-in at Sydney Airport was quite busy when I arrived. There was a separate line for internet check-in, which was a little bit shorter, so I would suggest doing that if you can. However, I'm not going to lie. I cheated a bit and used my Star Alliance Gold perks to check in at the business counter. This also gave me access to the Express Path line through immigration and security, which saved me some time during that busy morning period. Interestingly, the airport was mostly running on runway 25, which is not so common anymore, and it gives you great views as the planes take off right in front of you. Even though our plane had spent the night at Sydney Airport, we were delayed by almost an hour due to a delay in towing the plane to the gate. My plane for today's flight was a Boeing 777-300ER with 348 seats in a 2-class layout. Again, I made the most of my perks and took advantage of the shorter priority queue. I don't rush on board to just go and sit down for no reason. Sometimes, like I found in America, you need to get on and try and find overhead bin space. Sometimes you're in a premium cabin and can down a few glasses of champagne while you wait. But for me, I like to try and get on board early so I can try and take some photos and videos without too many people. Thank you. The Thai 777 economy is spread out across 3 cabins in a 3-3-3 layout. However, there are a few rows which only have 2 seats, which is what I chose for this flight. My seat for today's flight was in row 39, the last row of the forward economy cabin. Each seat was laid out with a pillow, blanket and headphones. I'm usually a last row person, as I love being able to recline without worrying about interrupting the person behind me. The flip side is, sometimes the last row might have limited or no recline at all. I'm happy to report that this was not the case on Thai. Instead of the backrest being pressed up against the wall, there was a substantial gap behind my seat for me to recline into. I moved my pillow and blanket and took my seat for the next 9 hours. Having a closer look at the seat, there was a somewhat dated and dim IFE screen. Off to one side was a USB power outlet and a coat hook on the other. Underneath the screen was the detachable IFE remote, and under that was a fold-out tray table. The seat back pocket was large and easily swallowed my headphone case. On the front of the pocket were some more storage slots, which I use for my phone. Down below the seat was an adjustable footrest. I'm not a tall person, so knee room wasn't really a problem for me. The seats also have adjustable headrests, which make it easier to nap without having your head flopping around. Unfortunately, there weren't any air vents, but thankfully the cabin was kept slightly cool. We pushed back an hour after schedule and made our way over to the runway. I'm sure this runway does get used from time to time, but the last time I remember landing on this was in 2016. I don't even remember the last time I took off this way. The Thai in-flight entertainment system can be used as either a touchscreen or via the remote. It's a little bit laggy as a touchscreen, but much better with the remote. It is not a particularly extensive system. There were enough movies, but the TV shows section was lacking in comparison. I was very happy with my seat selection and would recommend these 2 rows if possible. Yes, it is slightly close to the lavatories, which might be a turn-off for some, but the entrance is in the galley behind you, so I never found it annoying or off-putting. Very occasionally, someone may have been standing next to my seat, waiting in the aisle, but you can see just how much extra room there was, which really helped with a sense of space and not feeling cramped in. The crew got to work with the meal service and were very efficient in the process. For this first meal, there was a choice of beef goulash or chicken green curry. I figured the curry might be a bit too spicy and opted for the beef. This was served with a smoked salmon salad starter, a chocolate cake, bread roll and butter, and cheese and crackers. Although the cutlery was plastic, it was well sized and sturdy. Maybe I'm just a sucker for plain food and boxed meals, but I really enjoyed the beef. It was tender and tasty, a nice filling comfort food to have on board. After the trays were cleared, it was time to sit back and relax. Here's what it looks like with 1 seat reclined versus 1 upright. It doesn't look that much on camera, but you could definitely feel it. The recline was a combination of the seat back going back and the seat base sliding forward. The base only moves forward a tiny bit, so it doesn't affect your knee room too much, but it really helps in giving the feeling of a deeper, more comfortable recline. With 6 hours to go, I figured it was time for a nap. I ended up swapping seats with my neighbour as she wanted to get out and felt bad for waking me up from my nap, so she offered me her seat for me to have undisturbed sleep. I actually prefer the aisle, but she was being very kind and I swapped with her. Despite not finding a comfortable position for my legs, I dozed on and off for about 3 hours and woke up just before the next meal service. I forgot to mention it before, but the seat width was also pretty good. It helped that I also lucked out and my neighbour wasn't oversized. The second meal service only had 1 option, chicken, and came with fewer side items. This time, just the dish, a fruit cup and a cookie. However, the main dish was as substantial as the first meal, and I was impressed by just how much chicken was packed in. Whoever packed this definitely didn't skimp on the protein portion of the meal. Again, I loved it and was very content with the food. We started our descent into a hazy Bangkok, which cleared up slightly as we got closer to the ground. I'm going to sound like a bit of a twat here, but this was my first long-haul economy flight in about 8 years. Of course, I've flown economy in the meantime, just not for a flight that's 9 hours long. It helped that this was a day flight, and I was able to start the trip nice and fresh, but overall, I was happy with how the flight went. The seat was comfortable, I was able to watch a movie and a couple of TV shows. The food was great, well for me anyway, and although there wasn't much personal crew interaction, they were polite and efficient in the way they went around their business. I did cheat a little by using some Star Gold perks like check-in and lounge, which made the experience a little less pedestrian, but the main aspects of the flight were all good. Factoring in the price compared to other options at the time, this was the right decision for me.